All right, Kamala Harris off and running right now. She is in Wilmington, Delaware. She hopes to meet with what was the Biden-Harris campaign staffers and others. But all of this at a time as she has been really raking it in financial gains since she was backed by her former boss to run for president of the United States, collecting $81 million in that effort, and also shaking off a lot of donor money that had been frozen in place. Some of those donors had said, unless Joe Biden quit the race. He did, and she's the beneficiary, and then some. All right, we're following that. We're also following that well, I would call it feisty. That's a kind word. Back and forth with the Secret Service Director, Kimberly, Cheatle on Capitol Hill. But for my money, some individual performances, if you want to call it, or getting in your face about something. What made this so unique is the bipartisan nature of it. And to that, Jared Moskowitz comes to mind, the Florida Democrat, sits on the House Oversight Committee, but cut to the core of the issue here, of the reliance and what could have happened. President Trump lost his life that day, and that put it in some dramatic perspective. He is among those Democrats and a good many Republicans, virtually all of them, saying that she should step down. The Congressman kind enough to join us. Congressman, good to have you.
Thanks, Neil.
You were very blunt, very clear. You raised what would seem like perhaps the most obvious issue of all. What if Donald Trump had been killed? Maybe you could explain where you were going with that.
Sure. Well, first, Neil, this was an attack on our country. This was an attack on America. Obviously, being an attack on a former president, this is domestic terrorism, regardless whether you agree or disagree with somebody's politics. And so that's why I think you're seeing in all of Congress' response, it being bipartisan. As we know, the oversight hearing sometimes is not super bipartisan. But here's where I was going with this. Right. The former president was almost assassinated, and she's saying, well, I'm not going to resign. Well, OK, what I wanted to see is where is that line for her? Had this been successful, would she have resigned? And she still said no. And so what that showed me clearly is that she's not willing to have accountability. What I said to her is, look, if it's not going to be you, then it needs to be the people who made these decisions that led to the failure. So will you commit to firing those people when the investigation is concluded? And she still wouldn't commit to firing anybody. And so at that point, it became clear to me that the person who needs to be fired is her.
She's not going anywhere for the time being. Alejandro Mayorkas, her boss at Homeland Security, could do that. But, a lot of people are still angry at him that he hasn't been fired. But it did get me thinking, Congressman, that this administration doesn't do that. It doesn't fire people. It doesn't get rid of people. Not that that should be a badge of courage, but sometimes it's warranted. And it's just not happened with this administration. And this came glaringly to light to prove it.
Well, look, I think it needs to happen in this case, and that's sometimes what the frustration is with the federal government. It feels like you just have tenure, even when you have dramatic failure. I mean, we had a former president almost assassinated live on television, not just for America, but for the world to see what an embarrassment for Secret Service. So she needs to resign or she needs to be fired. It reminded me, quite frankly, of the terrible hearing that happened many months ago with the presidents of those universities when they just had an abysmal performance. They didn't resign right away, but they ultimately were all gone. And I think that's where this is headed. She is not going to be the director of Secret Service soon. I don't know if it's a day. I don't know if it's a week. I don't know if it's a month. But my guess is she's going to be gone. To see this level of bipartisan outrage of her performance and lack of information that she's willing to provide the committee. It's also why I support the calls for a commission to be set up. We have to make sure that this doesn't happen again. It hadn't happened in 40 years. And now, this to happen on her watch, it's time for her to go.
All right. In the meantime, President Biden is stepping down as the Democratic nominee, but he will be president right through January 20th of next year, as you know. Do you really expect him to change things or hold people accountable in that time?
Well, sometimes when you're not running for re-election, it makes you more free. We've seen that in Congress and the Senate. So we'll see. I think this is going to allow the president, quite frankly, to focus on the issues that he cares about, some unfinished business, maybe what's going on in the Middle East. And so that's not clear. I'm going to let the president speak for himself on that. But we do need to see accountability. I told the story in committee, obviously, that after the horrible shooting in Parkland at my high school, there was accountability. The sheriff was removed by the governor. The superintendent was removed by the governor. There was accountability for the failures, and that's what Americans expect. It doesn't mean the people who made these mistakes are bad people. But they failed that day. I used to be the emergency management director for the state of Florida. I always knew deep down if I failed in a response, the governor would fire me. That's how those jobs work. And this would happen to you in the private sector also. And so, look, I'm looking forward to the president speaking this week and explaining to the American people what he plans on focusing on in the remaining months of his presidency and the patriotic thing he did for the party and for the country by deciding not to run for re-election. I think the math and the numbers on that were very clear.
He might have done the patriotic thing, but he was clearly shown the door, right?
Well, look, there was obviously a little bit of pressure. These are not jobs when you're the president. And the idea of not running for your election, right, and coming to that is we've seldom seen that. But this was Joe Biden's decision and his decision alone, no matter what pressure may have been brought to bear. But ultimately, I think this is, hashtag math. The data was clear that there was really no path to his reelection.
All right, but there is apparently for Kamala Harris. You've supported her, Nancy Pelosi, which was a key supporter. That was a seminal event today as well. Is she inevitable? She's got the commitment of over 1,000 delegates, about half what she'll need to close the deal. Is she the inevitable nominee of your party?
Well, look, I do support having a process, but in order to have a process, you have to have an opponent. And so at this moment, of course, she's inevitable because there's no one who's willing to challenge her. So this train is left the station. That's where this is going. Obviously, we're going to have delegates that will vote on that. I look forward to their vote, but it appears she's probably going to be the nominee, and I endorsed her.
Got it. Congressman, thank you very much.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.